Hello, and welcome to Fitness and Training's podcast. Today's topic, exercise, how to get started and stay motivated. Today, we're discussing how to get started with exercise and stay motivated, even if you don't like that word, exercise. I have met numerous amounts of people who say, I hate exercise and I don't care to ever participate. Well, hopefully after listening to this podcast, you may change your mind. And some I already know are thinking, well, that's kind of a dumb subject because it's really simple. Just go to the gym. However, some of you are going to be well pleased to know it is not really the right thing for everyone. And believe it or not, many people just don't know how to get started. Some people are overwhelmed. Some have been injured before. And I could go on with the list of reasons why we don't exercise or like exercise. Now, some of you listening may already be very active. But don't stop thinking that you have nothing to gain, because you may find some good information in this podcast as well. Are you on top of your fitness game? If so, there's always room for improvement if you're willing. If not, what's your reasons? I know I have many reasons and excuses that I've used myself from time to time, and one of the most famous for all people is, I'm too busy. There are times that I've been totally on top of my game, and there are many times I've been totally off my game. Yes, even as a trainer, coach, and avid health and fitness enthusiast, I too fall short from time to time. And I realized one of the main reasons is lack of planning and prioritizing my time. But I refuse to give up or quit working on my health and fitness goals. And I'm hopeful that I can inspire you with the same attitude. So, just keep going, moving, working, and trying. Why? Because you and I are worth it. Our health and our quality of life literally depends on it. Now ask yourself this. As you age, do you want the best quality of life in order to enjoy it as much as possible? Or would you rather pay for the lack of effort and investment and spend the second half of your life suffering, miserable, sick, and running to the doctor, or even extremely limited on what you can do with the time that you have? Now, I know myself personally, I want to continue to live life to the fullest until my last days. And in order to improve my chances of achieving that goal, I must put in that effort now. I need to be purposeful in my planning and invest in myself consistently. When it comes to my health and fitness, I must be committed to do everything that I can possibly do to be preventative and proactive. And my hope is that you will also decide to join me on this journey. Now, in this podcast today, I'm going to share some tips with you to help you get started and help you find the right fit for your goals. Whether you are just getting started with exercise or you just need a little encouragement or motivation to push yourself to the next level. Regardless of where you are today, it's a great day to start making those efforts and improving yourself and improving how you feel. Exercise has so many benefits, which I do cover some of those basics in another podcast. But just to get us started today, if any of the following lists I'm about to share with you pique your interest, then you have what it takes to achieve. So, how would you like to have more energy, sleep better, increase your libido, improve your mood, improve your posture, reduce your back problems, improve your confidence, increase your clarity of thinking, reduce stress, improve your overall health, increase your flexibility, agility, and balance, increase your strength, improve how you see your body, maintain a healthy weight, reduce your need for medications and or doctor visits, improve your immunity, and reduce sickness and the risk of disease. Or how about slowing down the aging process? These are just some of the awesome reasons and benefits you get and you can receive from your investment. So, now, let's start with your goals. But first, stop and go get a piece of paper and pen so that you can write this information down. Or make sure that you download this podcast so that you can re-listen to it later in order to write it down. If you don't write it down, you are far less likely to stick to it. So, today we are just focusing on our fitness goals. But first, let me give you a simple definition of what fitness really means. Because how we apply it can be very different for each person, even though it still has the same basic meaning. Fitness simply means a state of health and physical effort. It also means how our body delivers inhaled oxygen to the muscles with increased physical effort, as well as our ability, strength, and physical perception of how we look and feel. So, for some, it may mean an increase in activity, an increase of flexibility and agility, an increase of strength, an increase of muscle mass, toning, and or definition of the muscles. It could mean weight loss or weight gain, better health or preventative health, or it can simply mean to look and feel better about ourselves. Be as specific as possible, because the outcome and the meaning that is important to you, that is going to help you and be your guide in finding the right fit of where to start with your exercise or where to go next. So next, we need to consider our current activity level and lifestyle. So, first we have a sedentary lifestyle, which a lot of people fall into this category. And that's meaning little to no consistent daily activity of at least 30 minutes. Second, moderately active lifestyle, meaning 30 minutes or more of at least 3 to 4 days a week of physical activity on a consistent basis. Number 3, an active lifestyle, meaning 1 hour or more of at least 5 days a week of physical activity on a consistent basis. And finally, number 4, extremely active lifestyle, meaning 2 to 3 hours or more of physical activity 5 to 6 days a week on a consistent basis. So make sure you note which category you fall under. Now, this one is very important. We must consider any limitations, injuries, or absolute no's for us as an individual. For example, flexibility, range of motion, balance, strength. Maybe we need to consider back problems, shoulder injuries, knee problems, neck problems. Some absolute no's for you personally may include things like running, jumping, or high impact on the joints, especially the knees. Maybe some absolute no's would be things like headstands or wrestling or anything that puts pressure on the neck. It could be some core exercises, which, if not done properly, can increase back issues. Also, some sports may be on your no list. And then we have things like stairs, stair steppers, weighted leg extensions, heavy weighted squats, or any exercise or weight-bearing exercise that causes a higher impact or strain to certain joints. Next, let's consider your interest, commitment, and capabilities. For example, you may have always wanted to run a marathon, but realistically, you can't do it if you have injuries, limitations, or you hate running, or if you just simply have no interest in prioritizing your time and the effort to train. The same is true with gym memberships. You may have an interest and really want to go work out at a gym, but maybe you can't afford a membership or a trainer, or you don't really know how or what to do. And a lot of people get themselves in a jam trying to just figure it out for themselves or watching someone else in the gym. That is not always a good idea. Or maybe it's just not convenient in your schedule, or it's just too far away and you won't go on a regular basis. Be realistic with this one because it can make all the difference of whether or not you stick to it. And remember, exercise doesn't have to be boring, grueling, or something you despise. Our goal is to find something that you can enjoy, something that you like and you look forward to, even if it's a little challenging. Because then it's not just another chore or something on your list that you have to or need to do, but it becomes an activity you really want to do and you look forward to. So some of the possibilities you may include on your list, and I again recommend that you write down everything that interests you and then prioritize what you can do and where to start. You can always add or include more later. Also, consider the season. Let's consider the weather and the opportunities available to you right now. So here's a few examples. Yoga, Pilates, aerobics, bar exercises, weightlifting for muscle building, strength training, or toning and muscle definition. Sports such as tennis, pickleball, volleyball, basketball, skiing, gymnastics, bowling. How about competitive sports or competitions such as marathons, bodybuilding, martial arts, boxing, kickboxing? And then we have just simple toning exercises where you can do in your own home with little to no equipment to just stay in shape. You may consider walking, hiking, kayaking, rucking, jogging, biking, skating, or any other indoor-outdoor activities that pique your interest. And finally, how about dancing, bungee, trampoline, aerial, hula hoop, jump rope, or pole exercises? Just make it fun. That's the idea. Now, let's put a few of these in context with our goal, because what we do and how we train can make a huge difference in our outcome. Here are a few examples. If your goal is to improve your flexibility, balance, or toning, we might consider things like yoga, Pilates, bar, stretching, and body weight exercises. For muscle building versus toning or defining the muscles, this can be a very different type of workout. For instance, building muscle, you need to focus, 1, on proper nutrition, and 2, how you train. This will be a much more intense training, but also requires the right amount of time for muscle recovery. I'm sure you've probably heard you need protein to build muscle. Yes, this is true. But getting the right proteins and amino acids are very important. Otherwise, you may just be wasting your money and time on the wrong things. Second, you also have to have the proper workout routine for you, which will be a very focused and intense style of training, and consistency will be a major factor to your success. You also need to know what you're doing, because there is a fine line of achieving the slight muscle fiber tears to build the muscles versus tearing the muscles and injuring yourself. Most people either do too much or too little to achieve their goal in this area. What if your goal is just muscle toning and definition of the muscles? Again, it's all about finding the right balance of repetitions, sets, types of exercises, weights versus body weight, and which muscle groups to work when and how often. For strength training, once again, it's all about finding that right amount of weight, the exercises, and the formula of muscles you are working, as well as the exercises to perform and the level of reps and sets needed for your body and your goal. So again, in each of these categories, I often see people who either do too much or too little and struggle to meet their goals. Form and proper form of performing exercises will make a huge difference. Many people become frustrated and will simply give up because they are either doing it wrong or working harder rather than smarter. Here's a quick example I have shown some of my clients over the years, and we'll use weighted arm curls for our example. First, there are different forms for different purposes of training, whether we are talking about the muscle group or the desired outcome. So for example, a power lifter will train completely different from someone wanting muscle definition and toning. A power lifter will use extremely heavy weights and use momentum to swing the weights up and then drop them, where the latter person will use more of a proper form with slow, controlled movements, focusing in on that desired muscle. So some of my clients have been shocked when I showed them this simple little tip and trick of working smarter rather than harder. So again, taking that bicep curl with weights, let's look at one of my clients who started out and could pump out 25 reps using a 25-pound dumbbell pretty fast and not feel much challenge at all in the bicep muscle. Then I showed them the tip and trick of less is more with the combination of proper form and a slow, controlled movement. That same client, using the same weight, could only do 10 to 15 reps and felt the burn in the bicep muscle as it was quickly becoming hard and shaky. Now that's what I'm talking about. And I love to hear and see that aha moment. So, what if your goal is more of endurance and stamina training, which we consider more cardio type exercises? For example, walking, jogging, running, rucking, hiking, swimming, biking, jump rope, jiu-jitsu, boxing, kickboxing, and various others, including sports. Here's a little extra information for you. Studies have shown that doing just 5 to 30 minutes of cardio exercise is sufficient for warming up the muscles, increasing the blood flow, increasing oxygen to the muscles, and preparing the body for increased physical activity. Where more than 30 minutes is mostly beneficial for endurance and stamina training. And though cardio exercise can be good for some and even increase your calorie burn, it may not be the best source for some people. Studies also suggest that too much cardio exercise can not only be hard on various joints and increase of injury, but may also increase extra strain on blood vessels and the heart. With this style of training, depending on your goals, and what you are trying to achieve, we may focus on the proper heart rate, style of exercise, time, distance, repetitive movements, and/or form. Now, here's the most common of all. If your goal is weight loss and/or body fat reduction, this again is going to be a very specialized formula that can be different for each person. And that's why I don't believe in the fad diets or a one workout formula fits all type approach. Thankfully, we are all very different in many ways and in our needs, goals, and the formulas to achieve those goals are as unique as we are. So, most of the time, we have to be patient and diligent to figure out what our body really needs to meet our goals. Remind yourself this: we don't just become unhealthy or gain excess body fat overnight or in just one day, nor are we going to fix the problem overnight or in just one day. However, here are some basic tips if this is your focus for your goal. First and foremost, nutrition is going to be key. And here's a saying I tell my clients: if you want to be lean and mean, meaning strong, not literally mean, then you have to eat lean and clean. I'm sure you've also heard the saying, we are what we eat. And believe it or not, there's a lot of truth to that saying. For example, if you are feeling like garbage, then you are most likely eating a lot of garbage. Or if you are full of a lot of crap, then most likely you're eating a lot of crap. The more you eat lean and clean foods, which provide the most benefit to the body, the less crap our body has to get rid of. And the more clean and energized our body will feel. Let's talk a little bit about diet. Diet is one of the most misused words in our society today when we're talking about this topic of health and fitness. Most people think of diet as limited foods, low calories, no carbs, and/or starvation. And that is the example of the misused meaning. Diet should mean what you consume. Instead, I like to use the word nutrition. But even that word, too, has gotten some negative stigma in our society, where some think of that word as meaning tasteless, boring foods, limited selection, and extremely pricey foods. Nutrition is and should mean everything we consume and what value it provides to the body. Many of you already know that you can go on a million diets, and you may see some results, but it will most likely be short-lived because it's not a lifestyle change, but rather a quick fix to shed a few pounds, only to often gain double right back when you go off the diet. Other diets can be very unhealthy or even dangerous for some people, creating more problems in the long run, all for the purposes of, again, trying to find that quick fix to a long-term problem. So, to wrap it up, in general, as we consider our nutrition, we need to focus on some key things: the food we eat and the benefit it provides the body, the amount of food we eat overall each day and at each meal, when we eat and how often, the amount of calories we consume versus the amount our body can burn, and the foods that best benefit our body versus foods that can cause more problems for us individually. So finally, we can't forget another extremely important factor, and that is proper daily hydration, because it is also a key element to this topic of weight loss or fat loss. I cover this subject in more detail in another podcast. So don't overlook the importance of this, because it really can make all the difference in the world for most people. I can tell you, most everyone I've worked with thought this was not an issue until they had to track it. Then they quickly realized it was a bigger problem than they ever considered. And you can check out my podcast titled Key to Better Health for more details on that. Now the next thing we're going to consider is our calorie burn. We're still talking about that goal of weight loss or fat loss. So we need to consider our calorie burn, which computes to movement that kicks our metabolism into gear in order for our body to burn off extra calories for energy rather than store it as fat. Yes, our body will revert to storing extra calories as fat and can even use muscle fiber to burn for energy instead. Obviously, the more we sit, the less we burn. And if we consume more calories than our body can burn in a day, then we stay behind the curve. The body is designed to survive and protect our vital organs. And if we aren't giving it everything it needs, including exercise, then it will revert to storing fat. There are other components to our health that can also be an issue in weight gain, weight loss, but we'll just cover just the basics today. Think about how different our society operates today versus 100 years ago. Our bodies need movement. Daily movement will be very important on a regular and consistent basis. When we don't stay consistent, then we fall into the yo-yo effect, basically bouncing back and forth between giving our body what it needs and making our body work overtime to just survive, store, and or maintain. Did you know that weight-bearing exercise is some of the most beneficial in many ways, such as working on fat burning even while you sleep? When cardio exercise is finished working for us as soon as we stop the exercise. Weight-bearing exercise is also beneficial, as studies have shown, to reduce the risk of osteoporosis. And that's just a couple of the benefits to consider. And the great thing is, You can get a great full body workout just using your own body weight with no equipment needed. And you don't even need a gym. However, knowing what exercises to do and how to do them properly is very important. Again, form is something I always point out and talk a lot about with my clients. It's the difference between working smarter rather than harder. We should also consider our level of ability. So, for example, how often have you exercised on a regular basis, even just 15 minutes, but meaning daily for at least 3 to 5 days a week? How consistent have you been in the past month, the past 6 months, and the past year? This can make a difference on where and how to start. You should also assess your strength in each muscle group. This is extremely important when considering what to do and how much to do. Assessing your range of motion, flexibility, and stamina. And again, knowing your limitations and finding modifications as needed for certain areas of the body. For example, I've had a knee and shoulder injury in the past. Therefore, I have to modify certain exercises or totally cut out some because they're either not beneficial for me personally or could even be detrimental or counterproductive instead. Also, we need to consider our availability, commitment, and resources to best plan in achieving our goals. Far too often, we have great ideas and even great intentions, but our follow-through falls short. And some of the reasons may be convenience, time, overcommitment, lack of planning, lack of making it a priority, cost, lack of understanding, lack of encouragement, lack of support, and/or our surroundings interrupting our commitment, and the list could go on. So, consider what are your stumbling blocks and write them down. All of these are very important to consider when making your goals, plans, and knowing where to start. Knowing what obstacles you are likely to face gives you the upper hand in figuring out how to deal with them. It may be as simple as just making yourself a priority. Now, make sure you take into account what you are willing to do and what you are capable of doing. Fortunately, in today's society, with the internet, we have lots of resources at our disposal. And that's exactly why I began spending the time to share on these podcasts and YouTube, as well as my social media, in order that I could reach a larger number of people. Where before, I could only take so many clients in a day, and often had to turn others away. And honestly, there were many times I would be frustrated because people would not stay committed and sometimes just not even show up, which would then disrupt my whole day of progress, not to mention losing the time and investment that I had spent preparing for that client. So that's why I am super excited now to be able to share and allow people to enjoy, learn, be encouraged, and motivated at their own time, at their own convenience. So, lastly, but still important, we need to consider the level of encouragement, support, motivation, and our environment or surroundings, which can be a great way of keeping you excited, motivated, and dedicated to achieving your goals, or it can be a huge stumbling block. Some things to consider when we're talking about support from maybe our accountability partner or workout partner, and others may need to consider getting the support from possibly a trainer, a coach, a support group, or a team. It's been my experience and my belief that we all are in need of encouragement, support, and positive motivation. Some of the support to consider from your accountability partner are things like words of encouragement, personal effort, dependability, positive input and feedback, public display of support, celebrating your achievements and efforts, sharing in your success, mutual efforts, being helpful, giving you the extra push to reach your goal, or keeping you challenged. Write down the things that are important to you to keep you motivated and committed to your goal. And then think about who can provide this for you. Maybe you can even be that example for someone else and help them achieve their goal. Remember this: two or more are always stronger than one standing alone. And unfortunately, some people never reach their full potential because not only do they not have any support in their circles of people, but some may rely on the wrong people for their support. These people not only fail in their lack of encouragement or support, but the environment and or the surroundings negatively affect or even prevent you from achieving your goals. And just to be real for a moment, we are talking about people who see your success, your effort, your determination, or your desire, and they're jealous, envious, or try to compete with you in an unhealthy way. Unfortunately, this happens more often than we talk about or even consider. It truly takes an extremely strong-willed person to achieve their full potential with nothing but their own pat on the back and motivation to rely upon on a consistent basis. Now, some can maintain for a short while, and some, especially if they're going through life alone already, they may be a little more inclined to stick with it until people come along and interrupt their schedule. It's especially hard if your surroundings are constantly bringing you down and or constantly having a negative impact or consistently showing you a lack of support. Some may come in the way of ignoring you, making rude comments or putting you down, being negative or refusing to even acknowledge your efforts, derailing your progress, or even making you feel like you can't do it. If that's the case, you may need to consider finding a different source of support for this area of goals. You are important, and you deserve someone to be in your corner, cheering you on to success. Many times, that's where coaches, trainers, or teams come into play in this area of goal setting. They should be on the same page and want to see you succeed. And yes, in all honesty, I too have experienced a lot of this personally. And no, I'm not saying all people are bad and you need to get rid of them if they don't exercise with you. What I am saying is choose your accountability partner wisely so they can motivate you into success, not derail you and bring you down. Some people have been blessed with extremely supportive family and or friends or even friend groups, but most are not that fortunate. Many are lucky to find just one person who will be dependable, who will cheer them on and be genuinely supportive. I think we should all remember this. What good are we to others if our purpose is not to inspire, encourage, motivate, and hope the best for each other? We should all want to see the people we care about succeed and be healthy and be joyful and supportive, because that's how we build a greater foundation, a greater community, better relationships, and make a difference in other people's lives as well as our own. And when it comes to health, we should all jump on the bandwagon of anyone willing to try and improve themselves. Finally, last but not least, safety should always come first. Whether you are in the gym, with a trainer, at home, in a class, or wherever you are participating in any activity, always make safety your number one priority. Listen to your body and know your limitations. That way, you protect yourself from injury and major setbacks. Well, that's all the time we have for today, but I hope you have enjoyed this podcast and hopefully you found at least a tidbit of good information to get you motivated and moving. Thank you for tuning in and listening. I hope to continue to share more podcasts with you. And if you enjoy these podcasts, please consider sharing my link. You can download all of them in order to listen anytime, anywhere. Stay tuned for more to come. You can also check out my YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/@fitnessintraining1 for exercises which are designed to get you moving at your own pace and at your own convenience. I would also love to hear your request for topics and exercises. So, as always, stay tuned, stay connected, and stay fit and healthy anytime, anywhere with fitness and training.